everyone, so today I wanted to talk about sex on prom night. I was talking to my little sister the other day and we were talking about prom. I was actually going through my Instagram messages and my Facebook messages and realizing that a lot of you guys, and I think my younger viewers, were really interested in the topic of sex on prom night. As always, the number one person that you should be listening to for any opinions or ideas about your sexual health is yourself. I don't know everything, I don't know every scenario, and of course every person is different, and all I can do is just give you my personal advice, and of course people can go ahead and leave suggestions in the comments. I think that's amazing when other people comment their own personal opinions and their own scenarios, because I think it can be super helpful for other girls that are looking for advice on this topic. So first I want to examine why we kind of put two and two together. So I think prom night is, of course it is kind of a rite of passage, it is a very special night, and I think just all in all it's something that people plan for. People love to get a dress, get your hair done, get your nails done, figure out the perfect date, the perfect after party, take a party bus, all that kind of stuff. And I think with all of that planning that goes into it, a lot of people also just think, oh, you know, maybe this should be the night where I plan to have sex with my date or lose my virginity. And I think that the whole idea of losing your virginity on prom night, it can seem pretty romantic. I know, of course, when you're in high school, you don't have a ton of money, you don't necessarily go out on these extravagant dates all the time, so thinking of your date or your boyfriend will be in a tuxedo and you'll be in this fancy dress and it's going to be just this magical romantic night, it could sound like an idea that seems like something you'd want to do, and I totally get that. I just think there are some things that you have to be mindful of before you go ahead and decide that you're going to have sex on prom night. First of all, number one thing, no matter what the scenario is, whether this is your boyfriend that you've been dating since you were in 8th grade or this is just some guy that asked you to prom the night before and you're going with him, you do not owe your date to prom anything. You don't owe him any sexual favors, you don't owe him sex, you don't owe him absolutely anything. No matter if he is paying for the entire night, he bought the tickets, or you already told him that you wanted to have sex with him, you know, previously to this, or you even already have had sex with him, it doesn't matter. And I think that's something really big that, of course, you know, I would hope people would already know that, but I think so many girls don't, and so many people have written me messages saying, you know, I feel obligated, I already told him that I wanted to, but now I'm thinking maybe I'm not ready, or, you know, someone specifically saying, you know, my date is buying everything for the actual prom event, like, do I owe him this as being his date? And you of course don't. I never want you to think that you have to do something because someone else did something for you. And this whole concept goes far beyond prom and even more into your adult life. You know, when you're out at a bar and a guy buys you a drink, that doesn't automatically mean that you then have to sleep with him or hook up with him or anything. And I think the same goes for being someone's date to a formal or to a prom or any event like that, where it is kind of a special thing and there is a lot of time and money and effort put into it. Know that that doesn't in any way mean that you have to be sexual. Just be aware of the fact that if you are not someone who drinks regularly and you're going to be drinking on prom night, you want to be careful. You don't want to get too drunk and then get into a situation where you don't know what's going on or you're not in control of yourself. You never want to do that. It's very, very dangerous and it can lead to a lot of really bad things. So of course, just be careful if you are going to be involving alcohol and sex and prom all in one big night. I also wanted to touch on, you know, after parties and that kind of stuff. Going along with the drinking, I think there also is a lot of pressure just from other people. I know a lot of girls, you know, talk with their friends about who has lost their virginity and who hasn't. And honestly, it's such a private matter. I don't think you should ever feel like you have to just get it over with to fit in with people or to feel like you can, you know, join that conversation. I just don't think you should look at it like that. And it makes me really sad when I get messages from girls that say, you know, all my friends have already had sex, like I feel like I need to because I don't feel like I fit in and I feel, you know, so much younger than them and so much less experienced because I haven't done that, and really don't think that. I think you have to realize that just having sex with someone, it's not going to make them be your boyfriend, it's not going to make them stay with you, it's not going to make them fall in love with you, and that's a harsh truth that I think a lot of girls need to hear and need to understand. I know a girl that in high school, she had this boyfriend, and of course, like I said, prom's at the end of the year, so they were actually going to separate colleges, and on prom night, she did lose her virginity to her boyfriend, and he broke up with her a week later. And while that seems super rude of him and just really unfortunate, you have to understand that At that age, guys are very young. A lot of guys are very immature, and I think while, your body may be physically able to have sex, you also need to be mentally and emotionally mature enough to have sex. And that goes into understanding your feelings, how it's going to make you feel, how it's going to make your partner feel, and you have to be ready for the consequences. And a lot of time the consequences can be that having sex with someone might not lead to any further relationship. And it also might end your relationship. If you end up having sex with your best friend because you took him as your date to prom, and then, things are uncomfortable or awkward, or one of you feels, deeper about the other person and the other person doesn't feel the same way, that could ruin a friendship, and that could make things just be so much different than they were before. So I think just really thinking everything through is so important. I think planning and understanding, what you want out of prom night is just as much as something you need to plan as getting a dress, or, where you're going to be at night, or who you're going with. I think you really need to think everything through, because you also don't want to get in a situation where you don't have protection. So if you are not already on birth control and your partner doesn't have a condom and you decide to have unprotected sex anyways, that's going to cause you a lot more problems down the road, whether if you just decided to plan it out and just be a little bit more prepared. Now, as a girl, I think we need to take control of our bodies and of our own, sexual history and our own sexual, being. And so as a girl, if you think that you're going to be having sex on prom night, have a condom with you, because you don't want to get in a situation where you're about to do it and then the guy pulls the, oh, I don't have a condom, or I don't want to wear a condom, or anything like that. And if you have one as a girl, you're already prepared, and you cannot be put into that situation where you might kind of be convinced into having unprotected sex with someone because you weren't prepared. Now, of course, on the topic of buying condoms and being on birth control and all that kind of stuff, I would love to make a further video talking about all of that, because I think, again, super, super important stuff. And sometimes it's something that you don't want to talk to a parent about, or you don't really have anyone to go to with those questions about those topics, because I understand sometimes it can be uncomfortable and a little bit embarrassing. But you have to remember that if you are, emotionally mature enough to be having sex, you need to be mature enough to be on birth control, go to a doctor and talk to her about your options, or also be comfortable buying condoms as well. And I've heard from many people, oh, I feel too awkward doing that, or oh, I'm too scared to go to the gynecologist. You need to do all of those things to make sure that you are safe and healthy, because having sex, you need to make sure that those things are taken care of and are in order, just so that you can actually enjoy it and you don't have to be worried about all the negative repercussions that can come from having unprotected sex. So I think that's pretty much it, and I think that's all I want to talk about. Mainly just focus on yourself. Prom is such a special experience, and I think you all should definitely be excited for prom. I think you should, of course, attend prom, even if you don't have a date, or if you don't have a boyfriend, or you don't have someone to go with. Just go with a group of girlfriends and have fun and make it an awesome memory, and make sure that you are just mindful of the fact that this is your night and you don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with. And I would recommend not doing anything that you feel like you may regret later on, because you want to always have prom in the back of your mind as a wonderful memory, and I don't think you want to cloud it with any judgment of anything that might make it, a hurtful or painful memory for you down the line. So I think that's basically it for this video. Feel free to leave me any questions or message me if you have any more, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!